Have you ever wondered why you can understand English, but not speak it easily? Why your brain knows the words, but your mouth stays silent? You are not broken. You are not weak. You are simply missing the first step. And that step is not grammar. It is not vocabulary. It is not even speaking. The first step to fluency begins much deeper, inside your thoughts. Yes, fluency begins in thought. Before you can speak English, you must think in English. Before the words come out of your mouth, they must exist in your mind. But here is the truth. Most learners keep thinking in their native language. They build a sentence in their head, then they translate it into English, and then they try to speak. This process is slow, heavy, and stressful. It feels like trying to run with a backpack full of rocks. You can move, but it is painful. Now imagine a child learning to speak. That child does not translate. The child does not study grammar books. The child listens, thinks, and then speaks. The brain connects real life with real words. The thought is already in the language, so the words come naturally. That is why children can become fluent faster than most adults. But here is the good news. You can train your brain to do the same thing. You can teach your mind to think in English, step by step, moment by moment, until it becomes natural. Let me give you a picture. Imagine your brain is a radio. Right now, it is tuned to your native language station. You try to speak English, but the signal is weak and noisy. The words break, the sentences are slow. But when you start thinking in English, you slowly turn the dial. The signal becomes stronger. Suddenly the music is clear, the words flow, and the station is stable. Thinking in English is how you tune your brain to fluency. Here is a small exercise for today. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you even touch your phone, say 3 sentences in English about your life. Simple ones. For example, good morning. I feel sleepy. Today I will learn something. These are not just words. They are training for your brain. You are teaching your mind to wake up in English. And every time you do it, you build a new habit. Remember this. You don't need to be perfect to start. You need to start to become perfect. Thinking in English is not about getting every word right. It is about building a new mental path. Each thought is a brick. Each sentence is a step. And every step takes you closer to fluency. So today, I want you to believe this truth. Fluency is not waiting for you in some faraway place. Fluency begins right here, right now, in the thoughts inside your head. If you change your thoughts, you change your words. If you change your words, you change your confidence. And if you change your confidence, you change your life. This is the journey we will walk together. In the next parts, I will show you the habits, the stories, and the exercises that will rewire your brain for English. You will see that fluency is not magic. It is practice, mindset, and thought. And it all begins with you. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen carefully, not to me, but to yourself. What language is your inner voice using right now? When you think about food, about work, about tomorrow, what language does your brain whisper in? For most learners, it is always the native language. That inner voice is powerful, and it controls everything. If your thoughts are in your mother tongue, your English will always feel foreign, like a heavy coat that doesn't fit. But if your thoughts begin to change, even slowly, then fluency becomes natural, like breathing. Think of it this way. Imagine a glass of water. At first, the water is clear, pure, and represents your native language. Now imagine adding 1 drop of blue ink. The water changes just a little. One thought in English is like that drop. Tomorrow, you add 2 drops. Next week, 10 drops. Slowly, the whole glass becomes blue. This is how thinking in English works. It doesn't happen in one day. It happens in many small drops of thought. But over time, the change is complete. Now let me tell you a small story. A student once told me, "Teacher, I can't think in English. My brain refuses." I asked him, "What language do you use when you count numbers in your head?" He answered, "Always my native language." So I said, "Let's change just that. Start counting in English every day. Not big sentences. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 weeks later, he returned and said, "Something strange happened. I was cooking and I thought to myself, I need 3 tomatoes in English. I didn't even try. It just came." That was the beginning. His brain had learned to switch the channel. Here is your exercise for today. Choose one daily action that you always do. For example, walking, cooking, or washing your face. Every time you do it, describe it in English in your mind. Say to yourself, "I am walking to the store. I am opening the door. I am turning on the light." At first, it feels mechanical. At first, it feels silly. But soon, something beautiful happens. Your brain connects actions with English words. The thought becomes automatic. And when thoughts become automatic, speech becomes free. Remember, you do not need to be in London, New York, or Sydney to think in English. You can live anywhere in the world. The classroom is your mind. The teacher is your inner voice. The lesson is every moment of your life. Maybe you're thinking, "But what if I don't know the English word?" That is okay. Don't stop. Just use the words you know. If you want to say, "I'm cutting vegetables," but you don't know the word vegetables, then say, "I'm cutting food." Later, check the word and update your brain. But never stop the process. Fluency grows not from perfection, but from practice. Here is the truth. You cannot speak in English if you never think in English. Your mouth follows your mind. If the mind is slow, the mouth will be slow. If the mind is fast, the mouth will be fast. So train the mind first. Thoughts are the invisible foundation of fluency. Without them, your words will always shake. With them, your words will stand tall and strong. So today, promise yourself this. I will begin small. I will let my inner voice use English, even for just one sentence. I will not wait for a perfect moment. I will begin now. Because fluency does not begin tomorrow. Fluency begins in thought, today. Let me ask you something honest. When someone speaks to you in English, do you hear their words? Then translate them into your native language. Then think of a response. Then translate it back into English. If yes, no wonder speaking feels slow. It is like trying to run while dragging a heavy suitcase behind you. You move, but every step is painful. That suitcase is translation. And until you drop it, fluency will always feel far away. Think of your brain as a road system. Your native language is a big, wide highway. Smooth, fast, familiar. English, on the other hand, is still a small dirt path. So what happens when you try to speak? You drive your car on the highway first, then try to carry it onto the dirt road. That is translation. It works, but it is clumsy. What you need to do is build a new highway in your brain directly in English. And how do you build highways? By driving on them every single day. Here's a short story. Maria, a student from Brazil, told me she was stuck in this exact trap. Every sentence she spoke was born in Portuguese first. She was smart. She studied grammar. But in conversation she froze. One day, I gave her a challenge. For 1 week, no translating. If she didn't know a word, she had to explain it in other English words. Instead of, "I'm looking for a fork," she could say, "I need something to eat food." Instead of umbrella, she could say, "the thing for rain." At first, she laughed and felt shy. But after 5 days, something shifted. She said, "Teacher, I didn't realize it, but yesterday I thought in English first." No translation. That was her breakthrough. Here's your action step. Ban translation during your practice. Of course, sometimes you need to check a dictionary. That's okay. But don't let your brain depend on translation. Instead, use simple English to explain. Even broken sentences are better than switching languages. Why? Because when you force your brain to stay in English, you are strengthening the English highway. Every sentence you build directly in English is a brick in that road. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine two friends. One is a fast runner. The other is slow. If you tie them together with a rope and make them run, they will both stumble. That's translation, tying two languages together and forcing them to move at the same time. But if you cut the rope, each can run freely. You need to free your English from your native language. Let it run on its own. Here's a small exercise you can do right now. Look around your room. Pick 5 objects. For each object, do not translate. Instead, describe it in English with the words you already know. For example, this is a table. It is brown. I use it to eat. Or this is a pen. It is small. I write with it. This is simple, yes, but it is powerful. You are training your brain to use English directly, without translation. And remember, it's okay to feel slow at first. That slowness is not failure. It is training. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. At first, you move slowly. You shake, you fall. But every attempt makes you stronger. And one day, suddenly, you are moving fast without thinking. That is how fluency is born. So repeat after me. I don't need to translate. I can think in English. My thoughts can be simple, but they are powerful. Each thought is building my fluency. By now you understand something powerful. Fluency begins in your thoughts. But here's the truth. One thought in English is not enough. One exercise is not enough. Just like one drop of water does not make a river, one moment of English does not make fluency. You need repetition. You need habit. You need English woven into the fabric of your daily life. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't say, I brushed yesterday, so today I can skip. No, you brush every day, even when you're tired, even when you're busy. Why? Because it is habit. Fluency works the same way. Your brain must receive English thoughts every single day. Not once a week. Not once a month. Every day. Because fluency is not built in one big moment. Fluency is built in thousands of small, invisible moments. Let me share a story. A man named David lived in Korea. He studied English in school for 10 years, but he couldn't speak. He told me, I think English is impossible. I asked him, what language is your alarm clock in? He laughed. Of course, Korean. I asked, what language is your shopping list in? He smiled, also Korean. Then I said, if everything in your life is in Korean, how can your brain think in English? You are feeding it only one language. That day, David made a small change. He set his alarm in English. He wrote his shopping list in English. He changed his phone language to English. 3 months later, he wrote to me, Teacher, I don't know how, but English words are coming into my head naturally. That is the power of daily habit. So here is your action step. Choose 3 daily habits and switch them to English. For example, morning thoughts. When you wake up, say 3 sentences in English. Good morning. I feel hungry. Today will be strong. Phone language. Change your phone or one app to English. Let your brain see English words all day. Daily list. Write your to-do list in English. Even simple words like buy milk, call mom, finish work, train your brain to think in English. At first, it feels strange. At first, you may be slow. But slowly, your inner voice begins to accept English as normal. And when something is normal, it becomes easy. Think of your brain as a garden. Every thought is a seed. If you plant seeds of English every day, Soon your mind becomes full of English flowers. But if you only plant once in a while, the soil stays empty. Fluency is not about planting one big seed. It is about planting small seeds every single day. Here's a simple trick. Link English to something you already do. If you drink tea every morning, whisper one English sentence before your first sip. If you drive to work, think in English about the cars and streets you see. If you wash dishes, say in your head, I'm washing a plate. The water is hot. The soap is white. This is called habit stacking, connecting a new habit to an old one. Soon, English becomes part of your normal life. And don't worry about mistakes. Your brain does not need perfect grammar to learn. It needs exposure. It needs repetition. It needs emotion. Even if your sentence is, me wash plate now, your brain still learns the connection between action and English. Later, grammar will improve naturally. First, just think and connect. Remember this, fluency is not a test. It is a lifestyle. It is not something you study once. It is something you live daily. If you can turn English into a habit, fluency will not be a dream. It will be your reality. So today, choose your 3 habits. Start small, stay consistent, and let your thoughts in English grow stronger every day. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you spoke to yourself in English out loud? Not to a teacher, not to a friend, not to a class. Just to yourself. Many learners feel embarrassed even when they are alone. They think, talking to myself is silly. But let me tell you something powerful. Your brain doesn't know the difference. When you speak to yourself, your brain treats it as real practice. And this practice connects your thoughts with your voice. Imagine your mind is a mirror. Every thought you see inside your head is like a reflection. But if you only keep it inside, it stays silent. To make it strong, you must speak it, you must hear it, you must give it sound. Thinking in English is the foundation, but speaking to yourself in English is the bridge. Without that bridge, your thoughts stay trapped. With it, your thoughts flow out naturally. Here's a story. A student named Aisha from Egypt told me she was afraid to speak in class. Her mind was full of sentences, but her mouth refused to move. I asked her to try a mirror challenge. Every night, she stood in front of her mirror and spoke for 2 minutes about her day in English. She said things like, I woke up late. I ate breakfast. I felt tired. Simple sentences. At first, she laughed at herself. But after 1 week, something changed. She said, Teacher, now when I speak in class, my mouth moves faster. I don't feel frozen. Why? Because she trained her brain and her mouth to work together through the mirror. Here's your action step. Today, stand in front of a mirror and speak 3 sentences about your day. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about grammar. Just speak. Look at yourself. Hear your voice. Feel the words. This exercise is powerful because it gives your brain 3 inputs at once: thought, sound, and sight. You think the sentence, you hear your voice, and you see yourself speaking. This combination makes learning deeper and stronger. Think of it like learning to play guitar. Reading about guitar is one thing. Watching others play is another. But holding it in your hands and pressing the strings, that's real learning. The mirror is your guitar. Your voice is your song. Use them. Another benefit: the mirror kills fear. Many learners are afraid of judgment. They think, what if people laugh at me? But when you speak to yourself daily, you train your brain to feel safe with your own English. You learn to trust yourself. And once you trust yourself, speaking to others becomes easier. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine a small bird learning to fly. It doesn't jump from the highest tree first. It flaps its wings inside the nest. It practices small flights before it flies into the sky. Speaking to yourself is your safe nest. It prepares you for the bigger flights of real conversations. So remember this: fluency begins in thought, but it grows through your voice. Your thoughts are seeds. Your voice is water. Without water, seeds stay dry. With water, they grow into strong plants. From today, don't let your thoughts stay trapped inside. Give them life. Speak them out, even if you are alone, even if you are afraid. Because every sentence you speak to yourself is a step closer to confidence. You've learned that fluency begins with thought, and you've started speaking to yourself. But now let's uncover another secret. Listening is also thinking. Yes, every time you listen to English, your brain is not just hearing. It is practicing thought. Think about a baby. A baby doesn't speak first. For months, the baby only listens. Thousands of words flow into its ears long before it says the first one. That listening builds invisible thoughts. Then, one day, the baby opens its mouth and the words come out. That is the natural order. Listen, think, speak. Adults forget this and try to speak without listening enough. That is like trying to write a song without ever hearing music. Impossible. Here's a short story. Ahmed, a student from Morocco, told me he understood grammar rules but still couldn't speak. I asked him, "How much English do you listen to daily?" He said, "Maybe 10 minutes a week." I smiled and said, "That's the problem. You can't think in English if you don't hear English." I gave him a challenge. 1 month of listening every day, at least 30 minutes. He listened while cooking, walking, cleaning. After 1 month, he told me, "Teacher, now English sentences pop into my head without effort." That was listening turning into thought. So here's your action step. Fill your ears with English daily. Not just once in a while, not only in class. Daily. You can listen to podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos, even simple children's stories. The content doesn't matter as much as the rhythm, because your brain learns rhythm first, meaning later. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine you are learning to dance. At first, you don't understand the steps. But if you hear the music again and again, your body begins to move naturally. The rhythm enters your bones. Listening to English works the same way. When your ears know the rhythm, your thoughts follow. Now, don't worry if you don't understand every word. Understanding is not the main goal at the beginning. Think about music in another language. Even if you don't understand the lyrics, the melody enters you. Later, when you learn the words, they connect with the music you already feel. Listening to English is like soaking your brain in sound. The more you soak, the softer and faster your thinking becomes. Here's a tip. Combine listening with daily life. While brushing your teeth, play English audio. While walking to the bus, listen to a short story. While lying in bed, let soft English play before you sleep. This is called habit stacking, attaching English listening to things you already do. Slowly, your life becomes full of English sound. Remember, you can't speak what you haven't heard enough times. Your mouth only repeats what your ears know. If your ears are full of English, your thoughts will also be full of English. And if your thoughts are full of English, your fluency will grow naturally. So today, tell yourself, I will feed my ears. I will let English flow into my life. Because every sound I hear becomes a seed of thought, and every thought is a step toward fluency. Many learners believe fluency means using big words, long sentences, and perfect grammar. But let me tell you a secret. Fluency begins with simple sentences. Short, clear, direct thoughts. Because simple sentences are the building blocks of all communication. Without them, the bigger structures collapse. Think of English like a house. The walls, windows, and roof are advanced words in grammar. But the foundation, The part that holds everything is simple sentences. If your foundation is strong, you can build higher and higher. But if it is weak, even the smallest storm will break it. That's why you must train your thoughts in simple English first. Here's a story. Juan from Mexico tried to speak with long sentences. He memorized difficult words because he thought they would make him sound smart. But every time he spoke, he froze. His brain couldn't keep up with the translation. I told him, stop. Speak small. Instead of saying, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for your assistance, I asked him to say, thank you for your help. At first, he thought it was childish. But after a week of speaking simply, his confidence exploded. He said, Teacher, now my thoughts don't feel heavy. I can speak faster. That was fluency being born. Here's your action step. For 1 week, speak only in short sentences. No complicated grammar, just basic structures. Say things like, I am tired. I feel happy. This food is good. I want to learn more. These are not baby sentences. They are powerful training tools. They teach your brain to think quickly in English without delay. Metaphor time. Imagine a musician learning guitar. At first, they don't play big concerts. They practice small chords again and again. Only later do they combine them into beautiful songs. Fluency is the same. Simple sentences are your chords. With enough practice, they combine into music. Some learners ask, but won't people think I'm stupid if I speak simply? No, people will understand you. And understanding is the real goal of language. Remember, even native speakers use simple sentences most of the time. They don't say, I am experiencing extreme exhaustion due to a lack of sufficient rest. They say, I'm tired. Simple is natural. Simple is powerful. Here's another exercise. Keep a simple thought journal. Every night, write 5 small sentences in English about your day. For example, I woke up late. I ate eggs. I worked hard. I watched TV. I feel sleepy. These sentences may look basic, but they train your brain to express real life in English. Over time, your thoughts will stop needing translation. Repeat after me. Fluency is not about big words. Fluency is about fast thoughts. Fast thoughts are born from simple sentences. And simple sentences are born from daily practice. So today, promise yourself, I will not chase difficult grammar. I will not fear simple words. I will begin small. I will repeat small. And soon my English will grow big. Because fluency begins with simple thoughts. And simple thoughts are enough to change my world. By now, you've seen the steps. Thinking in English, avoiding translation, building habits, speaking to yourself, listening daily, and using simple sentences. But here is a deeper truth. Fluency is not only about language. It is about the brain itself. When you learn to think in English, you are literally rewiring your brain. Think about it. Your brain is made of billions of tiny connections called neurons. Every time you think a thought, those neurons send signals to each other. The more often you repeat a thought, the stronger that pathway becomes. Imagine walking across a field of tall grass. The first time, it's difficult. The grass is high, your steps are slow. But if you walk the same path every day, the grass bends down, the path becomes clear, and soon you can walk easily. That's exactly how thoughts in English work. At first, thinking in English feels slow. Your brain struggles. You pause, you hesitate. That's the tall grass. But every time you think a simple sentence, every time you listen, every time you speak to yourself, you are walking the same path. Slowly, the path becomes stronger, faster, automatic. One day, you realize you didn't translate, you didn't hesitate. The English thought appeared by itself. That is the brain rewired. Here's a story. Lynn, a student from China, told me she practiced English every day for 2 years, but still felt stuck. I asked her, "Do you practice daily small thoughts or only big lessons?" She admitted, "Only big lessons." I told her to try something new. Think in English for just 1 minute, 5 times a day. She said, "That's too little." But she tried anyway. 3 months later, she sent me a message. "Teacher, now I dream in English sometimes." That is not magic. That is the brain building a new road. Here's your action step. Create thought triggers. These are small reminders to think in English during the day. For example, when you open a door, say in your mind, "I am opening the door." When you drink water, think, "This water is cold." When you check the time, say, "It is 3 o'clock." These little thoughts are not homework. They are brain training. Each one is a step on the path of fluency. Here's a metaphor. Imagine you want to grow strong muscles. You don't lift a giant weight once a month. You lift small weights many times a week. Over time, your muscles grow. Fluency works the same way. Small daily repetitions grow the muscle of thought. Remember, your brain is not fixed. It is flexible, alive, changing. Every thought you create in English is a new line written in your brain's code. And the more you write that code, the more your brain accepts English as natural, not foreign. So today, believe this. I am not just learning English. I am rewiring my brain. My thoughts are my training. My brain is becoming ready for fluency, step by step, thought by thought. Now we need to talk about something bigger than grammar, bigger than vocabulary, confidence. Because confidence is not just a feeling. It is a loop, and it begins in your thoughts. Here's how it works. A confident thought leads to confident words. Confident words lead to positive reactions from people. Positive reactions create more confident thoughts, and the loop grows stronger. But the opposite is also true. Negative thoughts create nervous words. Nervous words lead to awkward reactions. Awkward reactions create more negative thoughts. That is the cycle many learners are trapped in. Think of it like a microphone in front of a speaker. If placed too close, it creates a terrible feedback noise that grows louder and louder. That is the negative confidence loop. But if you move the microphone back, the sound becomes clear and smooth. That is the positive loop. You must break the noise and start a new cycle inside your head. Here's a story. Rosa from Spain told me, "I feel stupid when I speak English." I asked her, "What is the first thought in your mind before you speak?" She answered, "I will make a mistake." That thought was already killing her fluency. So I gave her a new rule. Before every conversation, whisper to yourself, "I am learning." Mistakes are proof I am growing. She practiced this for 2 weeks. Then she told me, "Teacher, people suddenly listen to me more. I don't freeze anymore." Nothing magical happened to her grammar. What changed was her thought. And that thought created a new confidence loop. Here's your action step. Create a power sentence in English that you say to yourself every day. Something short, clear, and strong. For example, "I can think in English." Or, "I grow with every mistake." Or, "English lives in my mind now." Repeat it before speaking. Repeat it before studying. Repeat it when you feel nervous. Your brain will slowly accept this message, and your thoughts will shape your feelings. Metaphor time. Imagine a soldier preparing for battle. If he whispers, "I will lose," then his body will be weak before the fight begins. But if he whispers, "I will fight with strength," his body responds with energy. Your mind is that soldier. Your thought is the weapon. Use it wisely. Confidence is not waiting for you to suddenly appear one day. Confidence is built by small thoughts repeated daily. And every time you think confidently, your fluency grows a little stronger. So remember this. Fluency is not only about words. It is about the mind that carries those words. If your thoughts are weak, your English will be weak. If your thoughts are strong, your English will shine. Repeat after me now. I can think in English. I can speak in English. My thoughts are my power. Fluency begins inside me. Let's face it, you will make mistakes. You will forget words, mix grammar, and pronounce things strangely. And that is okay, because mistakes are not the enemy of fluency. They are the fuel. But here is the danger. If your thoughts about mistakes are negative, they will paralyze you. If your thoughts about mistakes are positive, they will free you. Imagine this. Two learners make the same mistake. The first learner thinks, I'm terrible. Everyone will laugh. He shuts down, avoids speaking, and his fluency dies. The second learner thinks, good, I learned something new. She keeps speaking, improves faster, and her fluency grows. Same mistake, different thought, completely different result. Think of mistakes like sparks. One spark can burn your house down if you fear it. But the same spark can light a fire to keep you warm if you use it. Your thoughts decide whether mistakes destroy you or grow you. Here's a story. Kareem from Egypt once told me, Teacher, I avoid speaking because I don't want to be wrong. I asked him, do you avoid walking because you might trip? He laughed, of course not. I explained, you learn to walk by falling. Each fall was part of walking. English is the same. Each mistake is part of fluency. From that day, Kareem changed his thought. Mistakes are my teachers. 1 year later, he was speaking freely, no longer afraid. Here's your action step. Create a mistake journal. Every time you make a mistake, write it down in English. Then write the correct version. But most importantly, write one positive thought. This mistake made me better. Soon, you will see your mistakes as steps, not failures. Metaphor time. Imagine climbing a mountain. Every time you slip, you learn where the rocks are loose. Those slips guide you to find stronger ground. Without slips, you would never know the safe path. Mistakes are your guideposts up the mountain of fluency. So today, stop hiding from errors. Instead, welcome them. Speak boldly, fail proudly, learn quickly, and remind yourself, fluency begins in thought. If your thought about mistakes is strong, your English will never stop growing. Repeat this power sentence with me. Every mistake is proof I am moving forward. My mistakes are not shame. My mistakes are fuel. Let me share a truth that few teachers will tell you. To become truly fluent, you need more than grammar and vocabulary. You need an English identity, a version of yourself that thinks, feels, and speaks in English. Because the person you are in your native language is not always the same person who will appear in English. Think about it. When you speak your mother tongue, you feel natural, expressive, and free. But when you switch to English, maybe you feel shy, quiet, or even childish. That is not because you are less intelligent. It is because your English identity is still young, still growing. And just like a child, it needs care, practice, and time. Here's a story. Jun from South Korea was a funny, confident man in Korean. But in English, he was silent. He told me, Teacher, when I speak Korean, I am a leader. But in English, I feel like a baby. I asked him to create an English Jun. I told him, imagine a character who is still you, but in English. What is he like? What does he believe? How does he walk? How does he smile? Jun laughed, but he tried. He began saying to himself, English Jun is brave. English Jun enjoys mistakes. English Jun talks with energy. Slowly, he started to feel different. One day he told me, Teacher, I don't feel like two people anymore. I feel whole. His thoughts created a new identity, and his confidence exploded. Here's your action step. Design your English identity. Take a notebook and write a page titled Me in English. Answer these questions. Who am I when I speak English? What words describe me? Do I want to be calm, energetic, curious, friendly? Write it all down. Then, every time you practice, step into that version of yourself. This is not pretending. This is training your brain to accept English as part of who you are. Metaphor time. Imagine an actor preparing for a role. At first, they read the script and feel nervous. But once they wear the costume, they walk differently, they talk differently, they become the character. Your English identity is your costume. Put it on, and your thoughts will shift. Another secret: your body language influences your mind. If you speak English with your head down, shoulders tense, voice weak, your brain receives the message, I am small. But if you lift your head, relax your shoulders, smile, and speak clearly, your brain receives a different message, I am strong. So practice English not only with your thoughts, but also with your body. Let me give you another metaphor. Think of your brain as a theater. Your thoughts are the actors. If you give them weak roles, they will perform weakly. If you give them powerful roles, they will shine. By creating an English identity, you give your brain a role to play, a role that is confident, expressive, and fluent. Repeat after me. I am not just learning English. I am becoming my English self. My English self is strong. My English self is free. My English self is growing every day. Remember, fluency does not mean you become someone else. It means you discover another side of yourself, a side that thinks in English, feels in English, and lives in English. And the more you feed that identity with thoughts, the more natural and fluent you will become. Most learners make the same mistake. They focus only on single words. They memorize long vocabulary lists. They learn apple, banana, orange. But when it's time to speak, they freeze. Why? Because real fluency is not about words, it's about stories. Your brain does not live in words. Your brain lives in pictures, in moments, in stories. And the more you train yourself to think in small English stories, the faster your fluency will grow. Here's a story about stories. Miguel from Argentina knew thousands of English words, but he couldn't hold a 5-minute conversation. He told me, "Teacher, I forget the words when I need them." I asked him to try something new. Every night, instead of memorizing lists, he had to create a short story about his day in English. For example, today I woke up late. I missed the bus. I ran to school. I was tired, but my friend gave me coffee. After 3 months, Miguel said, "Teacher, I don't need lists anymore. Words come to me when I speak." Why? Because his brain was no longer storing words. It was storing stories. And stories are easier to remember because they connect emotion, image, and language together. Here's your action step. Every day, tell yourself one short story in English. It doesn't need to be exciting. It can be about what you ate, who you met, or what you saw on the street. Speak it out loud if possible. If not, write it down. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to connect your thoughts into flowing English sentences. Metaphor time. Imagine trying to build a necklace. Words are like beads. If you keep beads loose in a box, they get lost. But if you connect them with a string, you can wear them proudly. That string is your story. Without it, words remain separate and weak. With it, they become useful, beautiful, and strong. Thinking in stories also makes English emotional. And emotion is fuel for memory. Think about a time you felt very happy or very sad. You remember the details clearly. Why? Because emotion burned the memory into your brain. Use the same principle for English. Add feeling to your small stories. Instead of saying, I ate food, say, I ate hot soup, and it felt warm in my stomach. Your thoughts become richer, your English becomes deeper. Here's another exercise. Practice story chains. Start with one simple sentence. I walked to the park. Then add another. I saw a dog. Then add another. The dog was playing with a ball. Keep going until you have a small story of 4 to 5 sentences. At first, it feels slow, but over time, your brain learns to connect sentences automatically. That connection is fluency. Remember this. Words are bricks, but stories are houses. You can't live inside bricks. You live inside houses. If you want to live in English, you must build houses with your thoughts. And every small story you create is another room in your English house. So repeat after me. I don't need lists. I need stories. My thoughts are not just words. My thoughts are living pictures. And every story I tell makes my fluency stronger. So far, we've talked about your thoughts, your habits, your stories. But there's another element that silently shapes your fluency, your environment. Because your thoughts don't exist in a vacuum. They grow in the soil around you. If that soil is weak, your thoughts wither. If that soil is rich, your thoughts bloom. Think about it. If you spend all day surrounded by your native language, TV, friends, family, social media, then your brain naturally stays in that language. But if you surround yourself with English, even in small ways, your brain begins to accept English as normal, not foreign. Fluency becomes less of a study subject and more of an everyday environment. Here's a story. Sarah from Turkey wanted to think in English, but lived in a small town where nobody spoke it. She told me, "Teacher, my environment kills my English." I asked her to transform her environment step by step. She changed her phone language. She put sticky notes in English on her furniture, mirror, chair, window. She followed only English-speaking accounts on Instagram. She even set reminders on her phone that popped up with short English sentences. Smile. Breathe. Think in English. After 3 months, she said, now English feels like it lives in my room. I think in it without forcing myself. Her environment had become her teacher. Here's your action step. Build your English bubble. This doesn't mean you cut your native language completely. It means you add layers of English everywhere. Examples. Place sticky notes on 10 objects in your home with English names. Change the language settings on your favorite app. Choose one daily activity, like cooking or exercising, and do it only with English audio playing. Print one motivational English quote and put it on your wall. These small changes are like sunlight for your English thoughts. They make growth easier, natural, automatic. Metaphor time. Imagine you want to grow a flower. If you plant it in the dark, it will struggle. But if you place it near sunlight, it grows without effort. Your brain is that flower. English thoughts are your petals. The environment is the sunlight. Without sunlight, your petals stay closed. With sunlight, they bloom. Here's another tip. Choose English zones in your day. For example, decide that in the kitchen, you only think in English. Or while walking, you only think in English. This creates safe, clear spaces where your brain expects English. Over time, those zones expand until English lives everywhere in your life. Remember, your environment whispers to your mind all the time. If it whispers only in your native language, English will always feel distant. But if it whispers in English, fluency will become your natural atmosphere. So repeat this with me. I will build my English bubble. I will let English live in my room, in my phone, in my world. My environment supports my thoughts, and my thoughts create my fluency. Let's talk about time. Not the hours on your clock, but the language of your hours. Because fluency is not built in one big block of study. It is built in the thousands of small moments that fill your day. If those moments are only in your native language, then your thoughts will never shift. But if you begin to live parts of your time in English, then slowly, fluency becomes your lifestyle, not your subject. Think about how much hidden time you have. Waiting in line, sitting on the bus, walking to school or work, washing dishes, brushing your teeth. These moments may seem empty, but they are golden, because each one can become English time. And English time does not mean study time. It means thought time. It means turning those small minutes into training for your mind. Here's a story. Omar from Pakistan worked long hours and told me, "Teacher, I have no time for English." I asked him to show me his day. He had 30 minutes of bus travel, 15 minutes waiting for lunch, and 20 minutes cooking in the evening. I told him, "These are not wasted minutes. These are your English minutes." He began listening to short English audios on the bus. He described his lunch in English while waiting. He spoke small sentences to himself while cooking. "I cut the onion. The oil is hot. The food smells good." After 2 months, he said, "Teacher, I didn't find extra time. I just changed my time. Now English lives in my day naturally." Here's your action step. Choose 3 hidden times in your day and claim them as English time. Examples. While brushing your teeth, think of 3 English sentences about your morning. While walking, name objects you see. Red car, tall building, happy dog. While waiting, play a short English podcast or repeat a sentence in your mind. These moments are short, but they build a rhythm. And rhythm is the heartbeat of fluency. Metaphor time. Imagine a jar. If you put only big stones in it, you think it's full. But if you pour small pebbles, they fit between the stones. Then sand, then water. Life is like that jar. Your day looks full, but small moments of English can fit between everything. You don't need more hours. You need to use the cracks of time. Another truth. When you fill your hidden time with English, your brain begins to expect it. And expectation is powerful. For example, if you drink coffee every morning, your brain expects coffee. If you skip it, your body notices. In the same way, when you train your brain to expect English in certain times, fluency becomes a habit your brain demands, not just an activity you remember. Let me give you a challenge. For 1 week, live 1 hour of your day fully in English. Not perfect English, not advanced English, just English. In that 1 hour, think, listen, and speak only in English. You will be surprised. The first day feels strange. The second day feels possible. By the 7th day, your brain will begin to accept, yes, English is part of my real life. That acceptance is the seed of fluency. Remember this, time is not your enemy. Wasted time is. Every second can either pull you closer to fluency or push you farther away. The choice is not tomorrow. The choice is today, in this very minute. So repeat with me. I will live in English time. My small moments are powerful. My hidden minutes are my practice. I do not wait for a perfect hour. I build fluency in the time I already have. You have walked this journey with me from the first spark of an English thought to the daily habits, the mirror, the listening, the mistakes, the confidence, the identity, the stories, the environment, and the time. And now you understand the truth. Fluency is not outside you. It has never been far away. It has always been waiting inside your own thoughts. Think about where you began. Maybe you felt slow. Maybe you felt shy. Maybe your mind whispered, I will never be fluent. But today, I want you to notice something powerful. That thought was the real prison. Not your grammar, not your vocabulary, not your age. Just that one thought. And the moment you change your thoughts, you change everything. Fluency begins in thought. That is not just a phrase. It is a law, because every word you speak begins as a thought in your head. Every confident sentence begins as a confident thought. Every dream of speaking freely begins as a thought that says, "Yes, I can." Here's a story to close. A student named Hannah from Japan told me she had studied English for 15 years, but always felt stuck. She said, "Teacher, my words never come out." I asked her, "What do you think before you speak?" She whispered, "I think, don't make a mistake." I smiled gently and said, "Then of course your English is silent. Your thought is a command. Change it." I told her to repeat one new sentence every day. My mistakes make me stronger. 3 months later, Hannah sent me a video of herself speaking freely for 5 minutes. She said, "The biggest change was not my grammar. The biggest change was my thought." Here's your final action step. Choose your guiding thought. One sentence that will live in your mind as your compass. Maybe it is, "I can think in English." Maybe it is, "Fluency grows in me daily." Maybe it is, "I am free to make mistakes." Write it down. Put it on your wall. Whisper it before you sleep. Say it when you wake up. Let it become the heartbeat of your fluency. Metaphor time. Imagine your thoughts are seeds. If you plant seeds of fear, you grow a garden of silence. If you plant seeds of courage, you grow a garden of fluency. Which garden will you choose? That choice is yours, right now, in this very second. And remember, you are not just learning English here. You are learning yourself. You are learning discipline, courage, resilience, and belief. Each simple English sentence you think is also a life lesson. That small steps create big change. That mistakes are not the end but the beginning. That identity is chosen, not given. So today, I leave you with this. I am proud of you. Truly proud. You did not just watch. You walked the journey. You gave your mind attention. You gave your thoughts power. And you discovered that fluency is not a mountain far away. It is the path under your feet. Repeat after me, one last time. Fluency begins in my thoughts. My thoughts are strong. My English is growing. And my life is changing. If this message touched you, if you felt the truth inside these words, then don't walk alone. Join us. Subscribe to this channel. Stay close to this community where English is not just language, but transformation. Together, we will keep growing, sentence by sentence, thought by thought, day by day. Because fluency is not the end of your journey. Fluency is the beginning of the life you deserve.